Hi, English students. I want to talk a little bit today about research because a number of questions are coming in that I want to clarify some information about. So before you begin your research, you should have done your own probing questions about your thesis focus, which came probably from your midterm exam. What kind of questions you need to ask about that thesis or about the story in order to crack it open according to the perspective that you have chosen to read it from. So 2 weeks ago, we generated probing questions after you already knew what kinds of things you wanted to start with for looking at potential paragraph topic ideas. Then you got into your research and you did your focused research, choosing keywords from your own probing questions. So you are not creating your outline from your research, you're creating the outline from your own interest, from the things that you think you need to look at in the story. And that's why you were giving feedback to each other in the discussions. What other kind of questions could be asked or could help you go more deeply in your thinking? You were giving each other that kind of feedback. Once you've got 7 or 8 good probing questions, you begin your research. And then you find articles that you think address the topics that you want to look into. If you are doing research before you've done your probing questions, you are going to get tied up into a knot. You're not going to know how to organize your paper, and you're not going to have any of your own critical thinking ideas to work with. You're going to be trying to structure your paper around the research, and that's backwards. And you could end up getting a little bit incoherent, or you could go all over the map with your paper, which isn't really going to work. You need to have a thesis focus that's appropriate for 8 to 10 pages, and the focus will be appropriate if you've asked probing questions about your one central idea or central question or thesis, however you want to talk about that. So in your works cited page, what are you going to include? Some people are telling me, well, I read an article and I really got some ideas from it and it helped me think about things, but I'm not going to quote from it. So everything on your works cited page should be things that have helped you develop your perspective or your critical thinking, whether you've quoted from them or not. It may be appropriate in your paper if you've gotten some basic orientation or ideas from an article, but you're not going to quote from it and you're not going to paraphrase it. You still need to cite it. So if you're talking about an idea that you've gotten from someone else, you always put a citation at the end of your idea, and then you would put that in the works cited page. So I want to also make a comment about the annotated bibliography. So it appears some of you are doing really good annotated bibliographies, and it appears that some of the directions need to be read a little more carefully. So the annotated bibliography has several elements. One of them is to evaluate the source. Is this scholarly and credible or not? The way you can do that is very simple. You can just say this article is published in a peer-reviewed journal. The fact that it's peer-reviewed means that it is scholarly. It has been read by other professionals in the field who have agreed this isn't really wonky, it's not totally subjective, it's not off base. It's legitimate and trustworthy information, and the conclusions are reasonable. So all you need to do is say this article was published in a peer-reviewed journal, name the journal, and then if the author has some credentials like they're a well-known speaker or publisher, they've written other books, or they teach at a university, you can just summarize that in one sentence. So that's your evaluation of the source is just going to be 1 or 2 sentences. Okay? And I hope this will address questions that have been coming up.